Hello, welcome to Soul Stretch. My name is Dana and I'm the yoga instructor for the Soul Stretch class. And I'm so happy that I get to offer this class to you online so that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Today's class is going to be about yoga off the mat. So we're going to be doing some little movements to kind of just get the joints moving so that we can sit for meditation at the end and then talk a little bit about what it means to do yoga off the mat. Now, just to give you a little information about that, yoga, when you see yoga, you typically see the physical practice of it. It's what we see online. It's what it's the most popular aspect of yoga, and that's the physical practice, and it's called Asana. But that is just 1/8 of what yoga actually is. Yoga has 8 different limbs to the practice, and today we are going to be talking about one of the yamas. Yamas are just the ethical practices, how we show up in the world, how we treat others. You can see it as morality or the golden rule, if you will. And so one of the yamas that I personally like to embody is Ahimsa, and that means nonviolence. And it's not just nonviolence in the physical aspect, it is nonviolence in our mental space, in our emotional space, and how we interact with others. So how I like to look at it is no harm. And as human beings, it is close to impossible to not create harm in some way, shape, or form, intentionally and unintentionally. And so how I like to look at it is creating an understanding of how we show up in the world and how we want to treat others. So I like to look at it as the least amount of harm possible. How I talk to people, how I talk to myself, how I treat others. I try to embody the least amount of harm. But like I said, it's close to impossible to do that all the time, but when we try our best, then we can live a life from our heart space, from a place of nonviolence. So after all that, let's go ahead and get started with the class. So first, we are going to just come to a comfortable seat. As you know, or as some of you may know, I like to sit on a bolster. It just keeps my hips nice and high so that I can sit up tall. You can sit in a chair, you can be on your knees, whatever is most comfortable for you. So we're going to begin by just getting comfortable in our seat and tapping into our breath. We're just beginning to get that breath to reach down deeper into our belly. Getting it to expand on our inhale and retract on our exhale. Begin to slow your breath. And on our next inhale, we are going to place our left hand down on the mat and bring the right up overhead, stretching through that right side body. You can look up to the sky if it feels good for you. Bringing that right arm back down to the right side. We're going to ground that hand down and then bring the left up overhead. Still moving in tune with our breath. Just stretching through the side body, warming up our shoulders and our arms. Couple more breaths here. One more time. And let's begin to roll our shoulders a little bit. We won't be here long. We're just warming up the joints. Rolling them in the opposite direction. Let's draw circles with our neck, or with our nose, excuse me. Drawing big circles going around and around at your own pace, allowing your breath to move you. And then on your exhale, moving into the opposite direction. Continuing to breathe here. And coming to the center. From here, we are going to move whatever props we have out of the way. And we are going to come to our tabletop position. And that is just on our hands and knees. We're going to do our best to line up our joints. So hips stacked over the knees, shoulders stacked over the wrists. Spine is neutral for now. And just breathe here for a moment. And on your next inhale, we are going to drop the belly. Roll the shoulders back. And this is our cow pose. On our exhale, we are going to round the back, exhaling either through our nose or our mouth, whatever feels best for you. Inhaling, coming back into your cow shape. Exhaling into your cat. Let's do a few more of these to your own breath, to your own pace. We're going to come back to center into our tabletop position. From here, we are going to engage the core. Make sure we have a nice alignment in our joints. And from here, we are going to stretch out that right leg. You can tuck your toes and pushing back on the ball of your foot, you can get a nice stretch through your calf. Breathe here. No dumping into your wrists. Doing your best to get the pressure into your fingertips, your knuckles, and the rest of your hand. It can be difficult, it takes practice, but just be mindful. And from here, we are just going to gently lift that right leg. And from here, we are going to bring it up and over to our left, and then back to our right, outside of our mat, making sure to keep the core engaged. We're going to do that a few more times, lifting up and over, making sure to go at our own pace with our breath. And then coming back to center. Okay. We're going to do the opposite side now. So back in our tabletop position, engaging that core, not dumping into the wrists. Go ahead and elongate your left leg, pressing into those toes, into the ball of your foot, and just stretching out that calf muscle. Breathe here. Okay, and from here we're going to lift that left leg, bring it up over to the right, and then back over to the left. Over to the right, and back to the left. A couple more times. And coming back to center. Let's roll out through our wrists a little bit. Sometimes it can feel like a lot being on them for a while. So just roll them out, stretch them out, however feels good for you. We're going to be here for a couple more moments. We're just going to come back to our tabletop position, engaging that core once again. This time we're going to lift the right leg, and keeping it bent, we're just going to draw circles with the knee. Really just warming up that right hip. You don't have to do big circles. You can do little ones right here, just slightly hovering off of the mat, whatever feels good for you. Find your range of motion for your body. And when you're ready, you can go in the opposite direction. And come back to center. Yes. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Tabletop position, engaging the core, lifting that left leg, knee still bent, and draw your circles. Remembering to keep breathing. And when you're ready, you can go in the opposite direction. One more time, and come back to center. From here, we're going to keep the knees parted, sit back on our heels. If that is not accessible to you, if it doesn't feel good, because we all have different length bodies, we're all in different bodies, so sometimes this may be uncomfortable. If you find that in your child's pose you are lifting your glutes up off of your knees or up off of your heels, you can put something in between, a towel, anything to help you bring your feet up a little closer to your glutes. And then we're going to stretch out into our child's pose. Taking a moment to just breathe here. Getting back in tune with your breath if you lost it along the way. When you're ready, we're coming back up and we're going to move into our seated position. So find me your comfortable seat where we began, and we are going to move into our meditation. And one of the purposes of yoga and how it began was to prepare the body for meditation. We're not just bending ourselves into shapes just for the sake of it. Sometimes it feels good, sometimes we need to exert ourselves a little bit, but for the most part, it's to keep the body as flexible as it can be, to warm it up a little bit more so that we can do the practice of sitting and coming back to ourselves. So that's why most of my classes are meditations, because I think it's the corner, or it's a very important part of yoga. So we are going to begin by sitting nice and comfortable on our seat. Slowing down your breath. Maybe you can sit a little taller now. Maybe you're a little bit more comfortable on your seat. And as we begin, I just want to read you something about what it means to have a mindset of nonviolence or no harm. This is from a yogic path, and it's a guidebook. It comes with cards, and it just gives different information about yoga. And so I thought it would be a great resource to tap into for this particular class. With your eyes closed, if you are comfortable, go ahead and begin your deep breathing as I read. The thought manifests as the word. The word manifests as the deed. The deed develops into habit, and the habit hardens into character. So watch the thought and its ways with care, and let it spring from love born out of concern for all beings. As a shadow follows the body, as we think, so we become. Continue to fine-tune your inner language to radiate compassion, joy, and peace. Even the most disciplined yogis still often look in the mirror and think negative thoughts about themselves, get frustrated when stuck in traffic, or speak words to a loved one that don't radiate pure love. These moments are your guru, reminding you of where you still need to grow. Overcoming your triggers facilitates growth. Each time you feel the voice of negativity come through, sing back to it words of Ahimsa, compassion. You'll quickly find that these words echoed back by all those you encounter. So let's meditate on what it means to radiate words and thoughts of compassion, of joy, of peace. Breathing deeply into your belly. Begin to think about how you can incorporate more joy, peace, and compassion into your life and into your interactions with others. How can you better show up for yourself and others? begin to bring movement back to your body. Maybe you can wiggle your fingers, flutter your eyelashes. I hope this practice finds you well. I hope that you can take whatever it is that you learned from this particular practice with you off of the mat. Because yes, yoga is a beautiful practice when we get on our mats and we move and we breathe and we take care of our bodies, but the real practice is off the mat. It's how we treat ourselves, how we treat others. That is where the real beauty of this practice lives. Thank you so much for tuning into this practice. I hope to see you somewhere out there. Thank you. Love, peace, and namaste.